Hello again, everybody. This is me, still again. I wanted to, since I had the time, I wanted to go over some of the things that I was talking about uh, previously. I said I was going to get into the Constitution, and I wanted to talk about some civil rights, uh, some inadequacies that are kind of confusing. So I would want you to bear with me because I've got notes all over the place and what have you. So I'm hoping that you'll bear with me for a moment. Uh, I wanted to turn to on the new Constitution. I just wanted to, first of all, I wanted to just mention this uh, that the Bill of Rights on this little pamphlet, it says we expand the rights of the people from only four in the current Constitution to 21, granting you, the people, an additional 17 rights. It's all in dark print. There's lighter ones. The subsections are in dark print, but you won't find that in this document. They don't separate it with dark print. So, as I was saying earlier, that's a fallacy. But I just wanted to remember. I thought it was kind of crazy. Um, I want to turn right to. Uh, well, I just wanted to mention that under Section 3 of the Bill of Rights, we have cultural rights, giving us the right to be us, giving us our thing. But I want you to pay attention in there that it says that we have to gather, we have a right to gather our foods and our plants and these things. We have that right. Okay, that is something that they're not giving us. That's what I'm really having problems with because I'm a person that looks at words, and it says from six in the original current Constitution, or four in the original Constitution, to 21, granting you, the people, an additional 17 rights. Granting. Who's granting this? The Constitution or the people that wrote the Constitution? This word grant makes it sound like there's somebody up above us telling us what our rights are. Our inherent rights, our freedom, our inherent rights go back long before uh, the white man came to this particular place. So our rights are inherent rights. They're not granted from anybody. Our rights that we have through the treaties, our rights that we set aside for ourselves, they weren't granted to us. But the United States government did say, okay, this is the Indian Civil Rights Act. Uh, we have these civil rights according to law. Okay, they're reaffirming. So this says instead of saying granting, it should say just actually reaffirming or a different word. But when they say granting, that kind of says saying, okay, who's granting me these things? Who's higher than me and more important, or more important, more has the authority to grant us these rights that are inherent. So they're right from the get-go. That word grant gets me, and it might not be anything, just misuse of the word. But I want to go in and talk about on Article 7 and Section 6 on civil liberties. The first one we talked about having the freedom of religion. But I would like to go right off on Section 6 in the Constitution. It says civil liberties. All people shall enjoy the following civil liberties. Civil liberties. And the Blackfeet nation shall make no law, here's a word, abridging those liberties. Um, okay, now let's go down to the freedom of speech. We have the freedom of religion. Now let's go down, keep that in mind, and let's go down to the third one, or second then, which would be B. Freedom of speech expression, and press. All persons shall have the right to free speech, free expression, and freedom of the press, being responsible for any and all abuses of that right. Now let it be known that that word abuse is not defined. That's subjective. Okay, now let me read the federal law. It says, no tribe, no Indian tribe in the exercising powers of self-government shall make or enforce any law prohibiting the free exercise of religion or abridging the freedom of speech or of press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition for the redress of grievances. Now that is federal law. Now what is McKay saying here? McKay is saying all persons shall have the right to free speech, free expression of, and freedom of the press. Then he says, being responsible. In other words, you're going to be held responsible. So that's not real freedom, is it? If there's a law saying that you can only speak so far, that's not freedom of the press. So right off the bat, and just, he says, right in the beginning, it says, all persons shall enjoy the following civil liberties. The Blackfeet Nation shall make no law abridging. Abridging, another word for abridging is to make less effective. Okay, so they give us the right of free speech. They say they give it. We have the right of free speech, but we have to be responsible for the abuse. Now that's a subjective term again. So it depends on how you feel about being abused. We'll talk about this in a little bit. But just one from the beginning statement, just in section B, they already abridged those things that it said. It already abridged it. Just three sentences later, they already abridged what says no law shall abridge these things, and the federal law backs it up. It doesn't say you will be held accountable. We have that right, period. If you're going to be held accountable, then doesn't that suggest that you don't have that freedom? So the Indian Civil Rights says make or enforce any law prohibiting the free exercise of religion or abridging the freedom of speech or press or the right of the person peaceably to assemble and to petition for the redress of grievances. That's the Indian federal law. So they're going to butt heads. There's a lawsuit here that's going to be involved. Because abridging just means to lessen the effect of. And McKay says it right here in the beginning. These things will not be abridged. And then he bridges it in the freedom of speech. It says it's going to make us responsible when the law doesn't say that. So he's abridging the federal law with this law. So there's a lawsuit here. Okay. Now, I'd like to, hold on. Okay, in C, he says of the freedom of assembly and redress of grievances. He just kind of like separated them out. And in the Indian Civil Rights Act, it's all under number one. But here he just kind of sets them out as separate, but I guess because he wanted to make sure that you're going to be held responsible for the things you do. So we have the freedom of assembly and redress of grievances and the right of privacy. Those three things are all abridged in the legislative section. You turn to page 11 of this new Constitution, and I'll show you a few things here. Okay, now this is, I want you to turn to Article 7, Section 11C. And it says, to enact laws providing for the rule, the removal, or exclusion of all persons from the territory of the Blackfeet Nation whose presence may be injurious to the citizens of the Blackfeet Nation. Now that is a very interesting to enact laws providing for the removal of or exclusion of all people from the territory of the Blackfeet Nation whose presence may be injurious to the citizens of the Blackfeet Nation. And while it's at the same time, meaning it's in the same sense, it's in the same section here. The same is and means also or according or and is inclusive. So what it's saying is if they want to remove all people from the territory of the Blackfeet Nations whose presence is injurious to who? To the citizens. Well, that makes everybody that's in power a citizen, doesn't it? I mean, we're all citizens, so that would apply to how we approach the government also. But they're using that word citizen as in a demeaning sense and saying, okay, we're not going to say they can't use these things against us. What we're saying is that they can't do it for a citizen, which they are citizens, so they have the right to fall under that also. It's a form of hiding behind the bush kind of thing. If your presence is injurious. Now, the second part of that says, and while they're saying that, they're saying, and to provide for conditions. They're going to provide conditions upon those who are not citizens of the Blackfeet Nation may remain within the territory of the nation. Let me read that again. I'll read it complete this time. It says to enact laws providing for the removal or exclusion of all people from the territory of the Blackfeet Nation whose presence may be injurious to the citizens of the Blackfeet Nation, and also to provide for conditions upon which those who are not citizens of the Blackfeet Nation may remain within the territory of the nation. This is the most bigoted thing I've ever read. This is downright racist against our own people. This is not in there as they're putting it in there, but this, remember, this was put together by those people who in that committee. So what they're saying is this committee, which is also part of Joe McKay and Ronner Kennerly, and probably a couple others I don't know, but I know those two are part of it. Two of our councilmen. Okay, plus I don't know how many other people that were on that committee because we can't seem to get a hold of the list of the people that were sitting on there. But what this is all about is that these people that put this together, this isn't a part of our Constitution. This is like, they put this in there, it doesn't really belong there. They just like threw this in. They want to get rid of the people. This is actually intended for people who are dissidents, people who are disgruntled with the government, or people who disagree with the government, people who hold an oppositional point of view to the government. This is directed towards those people because they're saying we don't have a right to free speech. We don't have a right to assemble because if our presence they find injurious, they can kick us off the reservation. So if we all come together as a protest and they find that as injurious, they can kick us off the reservation. If we come together and as a sit-in or something peaceful, if they see that as injurious, if they see the way you are dressed, this almost sets up a royalty kind of a situation where their royalty, they want to even conduct in these, I'll go on further later on and show you where they want to conduct our behavior. They want to control our behavior, the way we act. So if we go before them, we have to make sure that we don't present ourselves as any way of being injurious to them. We don't want to upset that because that word injurious also implies emotional injurious or emotional abuse. So you see, this is getting really subjective. These aren't laws. Then this particular article Article 7, Section 11C does not even belong in there. They threw that in there. These people in this committee put that in there. It's a direct attack. It's a direct attack on our rights, on our right to free speech, on our right to peaceably assemble, on our right to air our grievances. And Joe McKay said these rights will not be infringed upon, and then right here they're infringing upon them. So this is duplicitous. It's stupid. He doesn't. I mean, people compare. This is a document we're talking about. This is a life-changing document. This isn't just a book. They want you to read this. Looks like a book. This isn't a book. This is a constitution of our people. And we've got to get more serious than this. They want to kick us out of here for being mean, for saying the wrong thing, for dressing bad. Anything that they can see as injurious, they can kick you off the reservation. So, and at the same time, it's in the same paragraph, looking for ways to keep white people on. It says it. It's in black and white. It is the most racist statement in this whole document. People throw this out. If you don't want, I mean, you want to talk about reading between the lines, then there it is. It's not even reading between the lines. It's actually just reading it and understanding what it's saying. The word injurious, it has to do with language. It has to do with physical injury as well as language, as well as emotional injury. So those kinds of injuries are all subjective injuries. So what they're saying is we want the power, or these people in this committee, and Joe McKay and this other councilman, Kennerly, they're saying we're going to stop those people. You know, this is America. It was until Trump got a hold of it, but it's pretty near. Those things that they're doing to us. Now, I'm not saying that this kind of a government is authoritarian, and I'm not saying it's fascist. What I am telling you, and I certainly believe this, is that all the way these things are written, all the things, it's not what is being said to people. It is what's not being said. It's what the implications, it's what it implies. And that's reading between the lines. And everybody should be able to do that. And I feel sorry for the individual that doesn't know. You really need to try to get on the internet and try to understand some of this stuff. But you really need to use critical thinking when you go through this, because right here they're stepping on the very rights. So they're saying this is a very racist statement, and it really sets up a kind of a royalty, because we have to go before them. I'll get back into that, but we have to go to them with a humble appearance and a humble attitude. We have to speak very eloquently. We can't raise our voice. There's a lot of contingencies based on our free speech. That's what I'm saying. We don't have it. We don't have the right to assemble. If they find it's not injurious, or they don't want anything to do with it. If it's getting too serious. If we found something that the people needed to know and we're out there telling people about it, they can shut our mouth. They can close down the opposition. This is totalitarian. This is authoritarian. And this is what I'm talking about. The door is open for a fascism. Definitely it's an authoritarian document, but it opens the door for fascism, for despotism, for an oligarchy. So the Bill of Rights aren't really rights at all, are they? There's something, I wanted to go through some more of these rights, but there's really so much of this stuff, and I know that people get tired of just listening to stuff, but there is one thing in here that I want to bring up, is that after you read all these things, all these things that what they say in your have, this is the final analysis. This is all about control. It opens the door, like I said, for an authoritarian regime, for an oligarchy, and it opens the door for complete control. And that's what this document is about, people. That's why they don't want you to read it. They don't want you to compare what their responsibilities are with what your rights are, because the legislative responsibility steps all over your rights. You don't have them. They say you have a right of free speech, but if you get them mad at you, you don't have that right. So they can give and take. So you don't really have that. Okay. So just to kind of point this out, here's just a small list of things that's going on here. And it's all about control. They want to control your free speech, because they've diminished it. They want the right, your right of assembly is diminished. Your redress of grievances diminished. Your conduct and your behavior, they want to control that. So that's getting in right into your personal and who you are. You have to control your conduct. And who says that's an open door also. They want to control our behavior. What does that mean? Do they want us all walk? Do we have to march? Do we have to all wear the same clothes? Do we have to get up with a bell? I mean, how far does this really go? When they want to control our conduct and our behavior, they're reaching into our personal freedom. And that's a bad thing. That's almost communism. That's fascism. So they want a right to control our behavior. They want to control our domestic relations. What I'm wondering about this is that I'm missing something here, because aren't they just kind of pushing themselves over into the judicial branch? Isn't this what the judicial branch is there for do? And not only that, but even further on in here, they're asking for control to enforce all these laws. If you really read the executive branch, they want total control. It's unbelievable. But anyway, they want to control your domestic relations. How you can, I don't know. I don't know what exactly that's, when they can go right in your house. And they say you have the right of privacy, but they don't, because it says, unless there's compelling evidence. Well, then that word compelling becomes, what does that mean? That's subjective. See, it all comes down to subjectivity. Nothing's really written in stone here. So they're saying compelling. What's compelling? I mean, if something's compelling me to do something, it might not be compelling somebody else. So it becomes subjective. So what they're trying to do is get in and control how you act, how you behave, how you treat your wife, how you treat your kids. They can come in your house. They can take your land. They want to control your land. And they say you have that right to privacy and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's all baloney. Because if they want to buy your land and you say, no, my land is not for sale, they have the right to come in and condemn your land. Well, actually, according to this, they can take your land. They just have to pay you its value. So let's suppose you don't want to sell. Okay, if they really want your land, they will come in and find a reason to condemn it. When they condemn land, that makes it basically worthless. So the value goes way down. So they can take your land and pay you what that small value is. It's blackmail. They're giving themselves the power to do that. They want to control your property, everything you have. They want the ability to control that. I've said this before, but this goes right along with Agenda 21, because Agenda 21 is all about control. And this falls right in with that. So it's a part of that whole system, that whole New World Order system that's coming through. They want to control your right to privacy. They want to control all resources, your land, your water, your oil. That's what that Harvard is all about. And it just really does set up It doesn't set up a fascist state. It opens the door for totalitarian or authoritarianism, and it opens the door for fascism because nothing is cemented. It's all subjective. Boy, when you leave your laws to the subjective opinion of your leaders, we're all really in a lot of trouble. So these guys aren't giving you any rights. They're taking your rights and they're stepping on the rights you do have. This is bullshit. They're lying to you. And the same, like I said, he said these rights will not be abridged, and 2 sentences later, he abridges it. They don't think we have the brains to go back and forth through the document and see how one thing affects another. I just wanted to share that with you people because I've got the time to do it. My wife is gone for a ride with her friends, so I thought, I'd sit down and get this taken care of and put some of these things, some of these rights people think they have, they don't have. This is very serious. The psychological impact of just this should wake the people up to the fact that, hey, why are they doing this? If this was honest and sincere, then why are they attacking our camp? Why are they attacking the protesters? They say, well, they come in and they disrupt the meetings. Why? Tell me why. I can tell you why. Because they don't give us a voice. They won't give us a chance to come in and talk to them on a one-to-one basis or even during the once of the month. They don't want to sit down and have a serious conversation about this document. They're pushing it underhandedly on the people. Understand this, people. They're calling you stupid. They're saying you're not smart enough to read this, and they're saying you're not smart enough to understand the back and forth, the implications, the inferences. They're trying to push it through. Why? If it was open and honest, wouldn't it be more like something like this? Or not like that, but that's a brochure because it's kind of set up, but like something like this. Something with a white background with black writing, with black topical sentences on it and black numbering, so it's easy to read, perfectly spaced. If they wanted to push this thing in reality, they would want to make it. If you're selling a new car, you're not going to sell that car if it's all dirty, if it looks like a piece of junk. No, they want to get it and they want to clean it up. And they shine it and wash the windows, clean the tires, wash the engine, change it, and get it ready to run. That's how you sell a new car. Okay, they're trying to sell you a new car right here. This is what they want to sell you, is this. And the summary. And now that's just like this. They want you to read the summary. But they don't want you to read this, which you should be reading. Why? If I wrote this Constitution, not this one, but if I wrote a Constitution and I was proud of it, I would put it so people could really see it. I would put it nice, make the appearance nice, because I've been trained. That's the way I've been trained. It's the eyes. It's what people see that counts a lot. They see pretty things here. They see a chance. Maybe I could make a deal. And here they don't see nothing. They see a lot of hard reading, a lot of, it's designed and it's negative. It's all psychological, people. They tell you one thing, like you have these rights and they won't be abridged. 2 sentences later, he abridges it. And not only that, but he steps on the federal law. And he adds to it by saying they're going to make us responsible for those things. Well, who is? And this part about kicking us off the reservation, I have to say that's not a part of this. Who made that a part of a duty of the legislature and put it in our Constitution? That's not a duty of a legislature. That's a directive from the people who put this together. That's a directive from Tom McKay. That's a directive from the other councilman that's on there, Ron Kennerly. That's a directive from Puggy Edwards. That's a directive from all these people, that his wife and all those that sit on that committee. They're not real people. They're pushing this. And they're doing it underhanded. And because they're doing it underhanded, that should be enough to wake you up. That should be enough to make you say, why? If it was for real, wouldn't it come out and they'd be proud of it and they'd have their names on it? They're trying to do this underhanded, people, and that should alarm you. So say no to this Constitution. Say no to it. Put it on the shelf. Let's see what else we can come up with. Don't force us into voting on something that is not good for us or all of us. It's good for some people, the new breed, but it's not good for all the people. We need a constitution that's good for all the people. This one isn't. So reject it, put it on the shelf. It might have to come back to it or redo, well, who knows? But let's get something else going. Let's see what else we can come up with. Let's not rush into this because the white man's saying we've got to do it. Don't let them pressure us into this like they pressured us into the water compact. And now we're suffering because of that. And I believe me, people, it won't take long if this Constitution is passed. It won't be long till we will feel the repercussions from it. And it won't be positive. They're just waiting like vultures on the outside to get a hold of what we have. And you need to understand that the only thing we ever really going to have is our water and our land. Everything else can be wiped out. But if we got our water and our land, we remain. We remain. But our water's gold. They're still part of our water already. And there's nothing in there that says, it says that they have a right to buy land. But it doesn't say anything about them having the ability to sell it or how much they can sell or to who they can sell it with. There's nothing there about any of our resources on what they're going to do with them. Our resources. This isn't Harry Barnes' resource. This isn't Mike McKay or that other the hell his name, that other Masonite. This is the Indian stuff. They're trying to wrestle out of our hands. People, open up. I mean, open up your eyes and see what they're trying to take from you. Because once they take it, you'll never, ever get it back. You can only tell your grandkids, we once used to own this. All these, where all these resorts are up there next to the mountains. All those resorts, all those rich man playgrounds, that used to be ours. And your son's going to say, your grandson will tell you, well, why did you sell it? Don't sell it, people. Don't fall for this compact. They're doing it under it's subversive. They're doing it underhandedly. And if that don't alarm you, then I don't know what will. And the doublespeak that's in there. They're telling you have these rights. Over here, they don't have it. They step on them. Your rights are only as much as they want to give you. Please read the document. Look it up on the internet and read it on black and white background. I've got more. I mean, I've gone through this. I've got pages of it, comments. I don't want to really get into all that, though. I just want to jump through some of this stuff and try to alarm the people, to make you alarmed. I wish I could make things go gray or orange, maybe even red, a warning sign. This is not for us. And if you read it, and I talk to the people that don't like to read, just read it, because it affects you too. Don't go by what Uncle Bob says. Don't go by what Councilman Barnes says or McKay says. Look for yourself. Read for yourself. Make your own mind up, and compare your rights with the responsibilities of the legislature, because they step on every one of those rights. Compare. See what one says, how it affects another place. Use critical thinking. Oh well. I hope you do those things. I hope I have stirred something up inside of you, because everything I've said to you is not a lie. Because everything in there, it's like I said, it's not a fascist document. It's not an authoritarian document. It's not any kind of a document. It's just a document. But it's what it's saying and it's what it's not saying. And it's the confusion of the words, the confusion of things, and it's the underhanded way they're going about trying to push it down people's throats by word of mouth. They don't want you to read it, they want you to vote by word of mouth because your friend told you to. If that's the kind of person you are, then I feel really bad for you. Anyway, I've been doing this for too long. Um, I need to get out of here because I've actually been doing it too long. So I want you to know, people, that this is serious for me. Now that I can finally see myself talking to you, and I hope that you're ready to consider what is written, the way it's written, what the words mean, what the inferences are, because this is our life that we're talking about. So let's hope for the best. Let's pray for the best. Today is Sunday. I should have been spending this time talking about the Lord our Savior Jesus Christ instead of this dumb thing. Having to fight for what is already ours is ridiculous. So I want to tell you that I want to appreciate your listening to me, and thank you for considering the things that I've said. And I'm always available on Facebook under Homo Sapien or Jerry Blevins. I use a pen name Homo Sapien because my wife has Jerry Blevins page, and she's putting a lot of scriptures and things on there, and I put a lot of my stuff on Homo Sapien. So it's not any kind of a sneaky thing. I just use it for a pen name for having my own space. So you're welcome to be a friend of mine on Facebook on Homo Sapien or Jerry Blevins, and but my wife will probably make the decision on Jerry Blevins. Um, and I'm willing to talk to anybody. So God bless you, and goodbye.